I would highlight today three topics. First of all, clear and explicit requirements. Second is test strategy, and number three is version control setup. So let's start with the clear and explicit requirements. So here I would like to highlight that the user story, that requirement from the for the development, should be specific enough to provide the development team with a clear understanding what is expected. So on the let me just put a lazy pointer here. On the left side, we have the representation of simplified representation of the business requirement. So let's say business wants to add a new field to a lead object. So this simple version of the ticket is taken by the developer, and I heard from time to time such stories like developer creates the story, adds the ticket, creates a field, move it to production, and as a result, nobody sees it because the field was not added to layouts. Nobody was assigned, so profiles and permissions wasn't set up to access these fields. So to limit that kind of issues, we recommend to use template-based user stories. So the story contains, first of all, business personas. I would describe what is it in the next slide. And apart from that, it should contain acceptance criteria. So here we see that fields should be displayed on all page layouts, the list views that should have these fields added, and so on. About Salesforce personas, during my experience, I always noticed that this step is always missed, but it's a meaningful step because we develop functionality for somebody. So we could have a lot of Salesforce users in the company, and based on their permissions, we can group them and define so-called personas. And we always recommend before the project kickoff, define the business personas, prepare the personas matrix as in the example below. So we have all the short description what these persona what actions persona performs, and apart from that, developers see that okay, so this persona could have the following Salesforce profiles and permission sets. Test strategy. This is so what I mean by that. First of all, the team members responsible for testing in test environment before the release and in production environment after release. Because if we have a dedicated QA engineer, that's becomes easier. But from time to time, project does not include the dedicated QA engineer. In this case, somebody should take a role of the QA engineer in the test environment. It can be developer, it can be business representative, but the test cases in this case should be prepared by the team, not by the dedicated QA engineer. And the last prerequisite I would like to highlight is version control setup. Probably you all know what is it. Just want to highlight the main advantages of that we can track what exactly was changed during the release, which part of the functionality has been added or removed, and apart from that, I would like to highlight that we can easily roll back the function, perform the rollback if anything goes wrong after the production deployment. So yeah, we can revert it back. So let's imagine, yeah, we set up the templates for user stories. We define Salesforce personas, set up the version control system, and yeah, so now the project starts and we begin to deploy develop something. So here I would want to talk about 4 aspects. First of all, is evaluation of the impact. It should be done from developer team. Rollback plan as well. It's a responsibility for developers. Validation, including unit tests, developers as well, and user acceptance testing. It's responsibility of business side. Evaluation of the impact. What I mean by that. So let's imagine the example that, so we have a requirement that we need to implement a validation rule. What always the development team always should consider, okay, when we release this validation rule, can we expect that anything goes wrong? Because it's an often case when, let's say, we implement validation to prevent sales users to make some changes during the records update, but as a result, records are not created, like leads are not created, or cases are not created at all because of this validation. Or another use case when we have some field that should be implemented and some automation to populate this field, and this field is, yeah, needs to be populated for all records. But yeah, automation is deployed, the new field is deployed, but the legacy records, for those legacy records, this field was not updated. So in those scenarios, all of those are automations and existing data. Apart from that, I would highlight integration as well. So if you develop something related to automation, integration, and yeah, that is related to existing data, we should check, yeah, what negative impact it can cause, and what should we do as a post-deployment steps or pre-deployment steps. Rollback plan. Yeah, I already mentioned that when I mentioned VCS. So it is more related and highly recommended for high impact functionality when you expect that, yeah, so the impact is pretty high, and yes, some things can go wrong. You consider, for example, yeah, these functionalities high risky. So yeah, the set of steps should be prepared, like when we deploy something and anything is go wrong, what should we do to roll back it to the previous version? Validation included unit tests. It's also more advanced advice for developers. Let me clarify. So Salesforce does not require to run unit tests when we migrate functionality from sandbox to sandbox. And it's pretty often case when we have a deployment day, we arrange the deployment day, approved from all sides, and yeah, start deployment, but yeah, we have test failures for the unit tests or not enough coverage. And yeah, because yeah, developers did not run the validation against sandboxes, and yeah, these should be done on periodic manner, and yeah, it could reduce the issues during the deployment. Yeah. And at the final, I would like to describe some action that we recommend to perform after deployment. Yeah, so smoke tests, those should be done always for when we define the test strategy, we should define the people responsible for to check, okay, we deploy something, does it work or not in general. Second is evaluation of the impact. Sometimes, not sometimes, I would recommend when we deploy some feature or a bug fix for some period of time, the outcomes of the implemented functionality should be tracked. Either it is report, or SOQL query that is run on a periodic basis. We should track the data that answers the question, is the new feature stable? Is there any errors or gaps in the results that we expect from this feature or bug fix? And yeah, at the final, it's just a recommendation because yeah, for developers, it's always a pleasure to receive positive feedback about the implemented functionality. Yeah, because it can help to boost morale and keep developers motivated. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to receive positive feedback because yeah, we receive feedback, positive feedback, not so often as negative feedback. Yeah, so this is yeah, what I would recommend to do to improve the overall quality of the project. Yeah, to summarize, yeah, following these rules, the rule I've mentioned, you can spend less time on hot fixes and have less stress during the deployment.